let's just go ahead and play Crazy Ass White People. I think it's appropriate. Go ahead and play it.
Girls are allowed.
I'm white. I got you, Carl.
Yeah, illegally selling water without a permit
on my property.
Whoa!
Hey!
You don't live here.
I'm uncomfortable.
Majority of players in the NFL we know are black, but you've got a lot of coaches and executives who are living in a cesspool of MAGA hate. That includes Jack Del Rio, the defensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders. Used to be the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, longtime NFL assistant. Well, if you look at his Twitter feed, it's a cesspool of retweeting Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA, those idiots, those two, with that individual and the organization that he founded. So Del Rio sent a tweet out yesterday speaking to the issue. Let's just say he was not happy at all with the January 6th investigation. And so he sent some tweets out questioning why you're going to see an investigation into January 6th, but not an investigation into the Black Lives Matter events. Also, this is, he retweets all kind of crazy stuff as well. Now, he's since deleted that particular tweet where he talked about why the January 6th investigation. Well, today, they had a news conference. Oh, and he actually decided to talk, y'all. Listen.
I just asked a simple question, really. Let's get right down to it. What did I ask? A simple question. Why are we not looking into those things? If we're going to talk about it, why are we not looking into those things? Because it's kind of hard for me to say. I can realistically look at it. I see the images on TV. People's livelihoods are being destroyed. Businesses are being burned down. No problem. And then we have a dust up at the Capitol. Well, there's nothing burned down. And we're not going to talk about, we're going to make that a major deal. I just think it's kind of two standards. And if we apply the same standard and we're going to be reasonable with each other, let's have a discussion. That's all it was. Let's have a discussion. We're Americans. Let's talk it through. I'm for us, having a great opportunity to have a fulfilled life. Like I said, every which way I can. When I'm here, it's about love and respect. I love my guys. I respect my guys. But I also love the fact that I'm an American, and that means I'm free to express myself. And I'm not afraid to do
that. Well, shortly after he made those comments, he posted this on Twitter. I made comments earlier today in referencing the attack that took place on the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021. Referencing that situation as a dust-up was irresponsible and negligent, and I am sorry. I stand by my comments condemning violence in communities across the country. I say that while also expressing my support as an American citizen for peaceful protests in our country. I have fully supported all peaceful protests in America. I love, respect, and support all of my fellow coaches, players, and staff that I work with and respect their views and opinions. Lauren, he was talking big shit at the news conference. He had a whole lot to say in front of the cameras. Mm-hmm. But when that comment went around on social, somebody grabbed their iPhone, pulled up the notes app and begin to bang this out because I got the feeling it was going to be a rebellion.
Oh, yes, indeed.
In that locker room.
Oh, yes. You better believe there was going to be a rebellion in that locker room. I mean, I can't speak for John Allen and Chase Young, but somebody was bound to get stuffed into a locker at some point right at the front. I think they're in OTAs now, but if not OTAs, training camp. I mean, Jack Del Rio needs to stick to defensive schemes and pretty much keep his mouth shut about politics. And, I don't want to get too ideological because, Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich and some other coaches tend to talk politics. And Steve Kerr certainly talks politics very strongly on the gun issue. And so I don't want to be sitting up here saying that Del Rio isn't allowed to say anything, but what he said was absolutely stupid and incomprehensible. You really couldn't even figure out really what he was saying, other than that I think he wanted to just say something negative, of course, about Black Lives Matter and the George Floyd protest. It's always interesting, too, when that comes up and people bring up property and not the life lost of George Floyd. Like, the property thing is always more important than somebody dying. I mean, this is unbelievable. And those football players, particularly on the Redskins, they're going to hear that, and be like, wait a minute, who am I working for? What are we doing? He should keep his mouth shut, because that he's got a lot of smart players on the I shouldn't say Washington Redskins, Washington Commanders, of course, and they're bound to like say something. It's embarrassing, and it's particularly embarrassing when you know that Jack Del Rio knows that most of the players that he's coaching are African American. So you say that knowing that, and it never occurs to you that that might be a problem at the next practice. That makes absolutely no sense.
It doesn't, and it did not sit well with a former member of the team, Brian Mitchell, long-time NFL player, played for Washington and Philadelphia. He has a sports show here in D.C. This is what he said. I don't give a damn about Ron Rivera getting mad at somebody having a practice collision until he gets off his ass and addresses this damn idiot that he hired as defensive coordinator. That's what I give a damn about. And if he can't do it, then he's the wrong damn man to be leading this damn football team. How do you expect anybody on that team to be straightforward when you've got a guy like that in the defensive coordinator position? Sounds like B. Mitch is not too particularly happy with Jack Del Rio, Robert. Robert?
Well, look, Roland, this is part of the issue. I think that we can all just agree. It's time for Dan Snyder to sell that team. You gotta burn that thing down, and you've got to just try to rebuild from the ashes, because every single year there's a different Washington Commander scandal, whether it's the Redskin name change scandal, whether it's the John Gruden emails, which were Dennis Allen, the former official of the Washington Redskins, where he's calling people the N-word and talking about DeMaurice Smith's lips look like tires, and calling Roger Goodell the F-word and this, that, and the other. You have the sexual harassment scandal that's currently going on in the litigation around that, which is also the Washington Commanders. These are just the scandals I can think of off the top of my head. They do not hire the best people, as one of our former presidents was often to say. And it's clear. This goes to one of Monique's points from earlier. When we talk about, well, maybe when we get younger people, they'll grow up, they'll have more diverse environments, being around more African Americans, they won't have these views. There's something that happens to old white folks. I don't care where they're raised, I don't care what happens. That MAGA gets into them. And it's some kind of virus. It eats away at your brain, it eats away at your soul. And that's, you're giving up a multi-million-dollar contract so that you can run off into the MAGAverse. We saw it happen with Kurt Schilling, the pitcher for Boston. He got into that MAGA, he went crazy with it. We see it all the time. But at the end of the day, it seems like the Washington Commanders are just rotting from the inside out. It's time for new ownership. It's time to clean house completely like they do every couple of years. It ain't like they winning the damn thing. So sell the team, get new people in there. I think they'll bring a shaman in there to burn some sage around the locker room. The whole thing needs to be fixed and cleansed from the inside out.
The thing here, Monique, is simple, and that is when you look at these coaches, you look at these executives, many of them are right-wing Republicans, MAGA lovers. And so Jack Del Rio, all you got to do is just follow his Twitter feed. You will see exactly where he stands. He loves to retweet Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would like to ensure that every member of the Commanders, but especially on defense, have a copy of The Revolt of the Black Negro by Dr. Harry Edwards. And they need Sociology of Sport while they're at it. And B. Mitch is on the right path with his response about this. I saw also something that Reese said on Twitter, pointing out what Lauren and Robert already have. These coaches are sending majority Black professional athletes who they think of as boys into harm's way in the play of the game and not having any respect whatsoever for Black lives, once that is evident, I don't see how a player can have confidence that their coach or coordinator has their best interests, their safety, their well-being in mind in the decisions that are made about whether they play or whether they don't, whether they go back in or not, the routes that they play. If they are just part of expediency, if they truly are just machinery, or, you know, are they part of the equipment? And Harry Edwards, I don't think right now he can talk about it maybe that much because I think he works for the NFL, but he's loud on the inside. I don't know, but his work is out there and it speaks for him. And I know that he mentored Cap in a lot of the moves that he made on the outside of the system. And I really think that I care about them being educated enough to say, we don't want to work for and report to and have our lives in the hands of someone who let his whole slip show, who said the quiet part out loud. He can't take it back. And frankly, he wasn't even trying to. And it's not just, as Lauren said, that he doesn't care about death and cares more about property. He called January 6th a dust up.
Yes, a dust up.
And it was for the overthrow.
Nothing got destroyed. Nothing got burned down.
Of our freaking government, and the threats were against the lives of the vice president, of the Speaker of the House. I mean, on and on. He's one of them. Let's just put it at that. He's one of them, and B. Mitch was right.
So
Rivera needs to be concerned about his coaching staff.
Now, in his statement, he said, hold up. In his statement, he said that he supports all peaceful protests.
Yeah, and
wait. He lied.
Well, but
No,
Monique,
Monique, stop.
Okay.
Guys, come on. He lied.
Okay.
I said he lied. He was against the peaceful protest against the national anthem when he was with the Raiders. See, this is where, again, when you can bust these liars. When you can bust these liars.
But it's also...
So they love, hold up. See, it's a whole bunch of Jack Del Rios in the NFL who are coaches, who are general managers, who are head of player personnel, who are team presidents, who are owners. Now Jack, all of a sudden trying to, I got to apologize. I mean, yeah, because there was blowback. So Jack, come on. You lied. You don't support all peaceful protests. You were not supportive of what Colin was doing, the other players were doing. You were not. You showed who you really are. And that's what everybody now sees. We know exactly who you are. You said the quiet part out loud. That's what he did, Lauren and Robert.
So I think that sometimes these guys are daring these Black players to do something about when they mouth off. It's like sort of like, let's see how far I can push it before one of these guys says something to me. Well, they're going to get their wish, because the players that come up now are not just going to stand by and listen to this type of thing and not say anything. I mean, there's going to be at the minimum a conversation, because at the end of the day, these Black players, these are the people that people come to see. These are the people who buy tickets for. These are the people who bring the gate. Nobody buys a ticket to the NFL to see some coach on the sideline. Nobody cares about who the damn coach is. You watch football on Sunday, you're watching to see the game, you're watching to see the players. And I think these little things, he's seeing, let me see if I can say stuff to poke the bear and see if somebody's going to say something and do something. Well, he's going to get his wish. He's going to get his wish, because there's a lot of players on that Commanders team that aren't just going to, I'm sure he probably heard from them, and that's why you saw that statement.
Well, keep in mind, the team president of the Washington is also Black.
Right.
So
James Wright.
So this ain't no, and the thing here, Robert, this is also where I would love for one of those players to invite some of those cops who were at the Capitol on January 6th to a practice?
Boy.
I would love for one of those former cops to stand with those players and they say, share with us what happened on January 6th. I would love to see some of those players would come out to the practice field with shirts on. January 6th was a domestic terror attack, and on the back say it was no dust up. I would love for them to do that and then say something. I get the right to express myself like you did.
But look, Roland, see, your issue is you're still operating in the realm of reality. Remember that once you are infected with that MAGA mind disease, reality becomes multiple choice. You know, you get to pick what happened and what didn't happen. It doesn't matter what actually happened. And if you ask these MAGAs, I had one on my radio show earlier, they'll swear up and down that it was all a false flag event. All those thousands of people we saw were all paid actors, that all the cops who were injured weren't really injured, or the people who died didn't really die, and that it's almost like a Jedi mind trick they're trying to play. And it's not that they're lying, because you're saying they're lying. They believe it. And if you put them on a polygraph, you put them on a lie detector, you gave them truth serum right now, they would believe all this stuff 100%. That's what's far more insidious. So instead of trying to convince these people of the existence of reality, you have to work on cleansing these people from society. Oh, why does Jack Del Rio keep getting these retread jobs? He was the coach in Jacksonville. He sucked. He was the coach of the Raiders. He sucked. He keeps getting job after job despite not really doing anything the last 20 years. Is because of this continuous system, the good old boy network, where going back to the Brian Flores lawsuit, where you're not giving qualified African Americans an opportunity to even get their foot in the door. But someone like Jack Del Rio and his MAGA belief system, which comports with the MAGA belief system of many of the owners, is able to keep getting job after job and accumulate tens of millions of dollars. Just think about the fact the Raiders' last two coaches, one of them was John Gruden, and the one before that was Jack Del Rio. You look at everything going on in Washington. We have to figure out how to Congress needs to be going after their antitrust exemptions. We need to make sure that we are opening up their books, find out just how deep this rot goes. Because even though these black players are making these owners millions of dollars, these owners are then taking that money and donating it to Republican candidates, we're donating it to these Stop the Steal people, to the MAGA people who are oppressing the rest of us. So I think that we have to work on breaking these things down and opening that organization up, that they're going to continue to depend on the United States government for the antitrust exemptions and them taxpayers to build these billion-dollar stadiums.
And so this was the actual tweet that he sent out. Would love to understand the whole story about why the summer of riots, looting, burning, and the destruction of personal property is never discussed, but this is #common sense. That was the initial tweet that actually spurned all of this. And then, now mind you, he said some, he said some other stuff, because right before the comment, this is what he said. Oh, if they are on any concern about players taking issue with the tweets, if they are and they want to talk about it, I'll talk about it with anybody. Yeah, no problem, at any time. But they're not. I'm just expressing myself, and I think we all as Americans have the right to express ourselves, especially if you're being respectful. I'm being respectful. I just asked a simple question. See, he's doing that little Tucker Carlson little trick, Monique. I'm just asking a question. Why are y'all getting upset? I'm just asking a question.
Right, but black folks, I've been in that studio. Ain't no black folks reporting to Tucker Carlson. Ain't nothing but white folks. My concern is for the people who have to look this cat in the face every day and are put in harm's way every day and are doing these jobs and are supposed to be treated like professionals, and are living with the threat of this man. Of course, they're not saying anything. Of course, they're not expressing to the defensive coordinator, who has their professional careers, their livelihoods, Mama Nim's house, Booger, Tata, Lucretia, all of them, they rent money? No, they're not saying nothing. That's why B. Mitch, as a former player, was free to say something. And I texted him about it, and I can't say out loud what he responded to. Let's just say he meant it. But no, I think it's up to all of us to understand that you can still be in a harassing environment, a stressful environment, an environment where your employer has the upper hand and can do things like this, make for these climates, and not be free to say anything unless you have power in numbers. And so, again, Dr. Harry Edwards, people, find your way.
All right, folks, back to that Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
We welcome you to the launch of the Mass Poor People's Low Wage Assembly and Moral March on Washington, D.C., June 18, 2022.
We are a new, unsettling force, and we are powerful. New, unsettling force, and we are here.
We're rising up to demonstrate the compelling power that we, poor and low-income people, have to reconstruct society from the bottom up.
And we need to do it with the loudest voices possible, the biggest actions possible.
Because we know that there is no scarcity in this land. The only scarcity is the moral will to do what's right.
Hold on, just a little while longer.
We are those with sub-minimum wage jobs who can't afford sky-high rent.
People with disabilities are the fastest growing minority group.
It's crazy to me that in 2021, it's still legal for workplaces to pay a sub-minimum wage to people with disabilities.
There are still so much trial and tribulations that we go through as Indigenous people. We can't get a decent wage to sustain ourselves, nor can we get adequate housing.
Veterans across this nation say enough is enough. We can't pat essential workers on the back on one day and then cut their health care the next day.
Health is a political choice.
What more do I need to do to prove that my voice is just as valuable as anyone else's?
There are still forces in denial that would try to slow walk our transition to a clean economy and a just future for us all.
We have an immoral system run by immoral people.
But together we walk, and we walk and we fight.
It's time for a change!
Reconstruyamos esta gran nación!
See, we are people of resilience. As we fight these interlocking injustices together,
When we work together, mobilize together, and rise together, we become a voice for the voiceless, and we become an agent of change in a time where great change is needed.
We need the third reconstruction to ensure that deaf people, people with disabilities, and all people can have the right to live and to thrive.
We know what they are doing, but the question is, what are we going to do? Reconstruction begins when we change our mentality and say it's time for you to get your foot off of my neck.